All right, ready for a deep dive. Buckle up for a medical mystery.
A mystery is right.
A century
Ugh.
of coughs and comebacks.
Mm.
We're talking whooping cough.
Mm.
Pertussis, as
Mm.
it's known in the medical world.
Right.
You might think, oh, it's a disease of the past.
Right.
But this bug,
Yeah.
it's got a story that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.
Oh, for sure. It's a wild ride.
Really?
Before the 1900s,
Okay.
Pertussis was like this silent stalker,
Oh, wow.
especially for young children.
Yeah.
Imagine the
Yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
your child's cough just growing more violent every day.
Oh, gosh.
And nobody knows why.
I can't even fathom the helplessness parents must have felt.
Absolutely.
But finally, in 1906,
Yes.
scientists isolated the culprit,
They did.
this tiny bacterium called Bordetella pertussis.
Right.
So finally, they had a name.
Uh-huh.
They had a face for this enemy.
Yeah, but knowing who you're fighting,
Right.
that's only half the battle.
Exactly.
Early treatments in the 1920s. They were basically shots in the dark,
Mm.
oxygen tents, and
Mhm.
syrups to try and soothe the cough,
Right.
but nothing that really targeted the root cause.
So what about the antibiotics?
Well,
They were revolutionizing medicine at the time.
they were, but here's the thing.
Okay.
Antibiotics weren't effective against pertussis.
So while the rest of the world was celebrating the dawn of the antibiotic age,
Yeah.
pertussis was still a formidable foe.
Oh. It was.
So the focus shifted from treatment to prevention.
Exactly.
And enter these two
Amazing women.
amazing women.
Pearl Kendrick and Grace Eldering.
Yeah.
Working tirelessly in a Michigan lab in the 1930s
Oh,
to develop a vaccine.
talk about dedication.
Oh,
They even tested it on themselves
they did.
before moving to clinical trials. That's some serious commitment to the cause.
It is.
So their whole cell vaccine,
Yeah.
which killed Bordetella pertussis bacteria,
Right.
it was a breakthrough.
It was.
Cases plummeted. Seemed like the tide was turning.
It did.
It must have felt like a miracle for families and communities that were just ravaged by this disease.
Absolutely.
But-
Always a but.
Of course, there's always a but lurking around the corner in these medical mysteries.
Right.
So as this DTP vaccine,
Okay.
diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis bundled together,
Mm-hmm.
as that gained widespread use in the 1940s,
Yeah.
a new concern arose.
What's that?
Immunity, it turns out, wasn't everlasting.
Oh, no.
So even vaccinated children could become susceptible again later in life.
Unfortunately, yes.
That throws a wrench in the whole eradication plan.
It does.
Right.
It does.
So while their symptoms might be milder,
Right.
they could still spread the bacteria,
Exactly.
especially to infants
Yeah.
who hadn't yet built up their full immunity.
Right, right.
So that creates a real dilemma.
Yes.
A vaccine that offers incredible protection,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a one-and-done solution.
Nope.
So what did they do to address this waning immunity?
Well, that challenge,
Yeah.
coupled with some rising concerns about side effects,
Okay.
which were rare, but
Mm.
still they were associated with the whole cell vaccine,
Mm-hmm.
all of that pushed scientists to seek a new path.
So they had this life-saving vaccine,
Right.
but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
So what did they come up with next?
Hmm.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
All right, let's talk about the quest for a safer pertussis vaccine.
Okay.
It was really heating up,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in Japan.
Japan.
Yeah, they were facing these super high rates of pertussis
Right.
that researchers struck gold.
Japan. Always at the forefront of innovation.
Always.
So what did they discover?
They pioneered the acellular pertussis vaccine,
Okay.
or AP for short,
Okay.
instead of using the entire killed bacterium,
Ah.
like in the whole cell vaccine.
Right.
They figured out how to isolate specific components.
Really? So they dissected the bacteria
Yeah.
and pinpointed the exact parts that triggered the immune response.
You got it.
That's incredible.
So they zeroed in on these proteins and toxins, the things
Oh.
that actually cause the disease.
Right.
And by removing all the extraneous bits,
Yeah.
they aimed to create a vaccine that was just as effective,
Okay.
but with fewer side effects.
Like streamlining a recipe,
I like that.
keeping only the essential ingredients for flavor,
Right.
but ditching anything that might cause indigestion.
Exactly.
I love it.
And clinical trials proved their approach was a winner.
Okay.
The acellular vaccine produced this strong immune response
Great.
while significantly reducing those worrisome side effects.
Okay, good.
Especially in infants.
That must have been such a relief for parents,
Definitely.
who were understandably concerned
Of course.
about the whole cell vaccine.
Absolutely.
So did this new acellular vaccine solve the problem of waning immunity?
Hmm. Well, that's where the story takes another twist.
Oh, no, another twist.
The cellular vaccine, while safer,
Yeah.
it didn't offer the same long-lasting protection.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
As the whole cell vaccine,
Interesting.
immunity seemed to wane even faster.
So a safer vaccine, but with a shorter window of protection.
Yeah.
That's a tough trade-off.
It is.
So what did that mean for vaccination strategies?
Well, it raised this big question
Yeah.
about whether more frequent booster shots
Right.
would be needed with the cellular vaccine.
Right.
But increasing the number of boosters, that's not as simple as it sounds.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That would be a logistical nightmare,
Yeah.
trying to get everyone in for more frequent shots,
Exactly.
especially kids.
Plus, there's also the issue of public perception.
Public perception, right?
Would people embrace the need for more boosters?
Right.
Especially when they thought they had this better, more advanced vaccine?
Yeah, it's like telling someone they need to recharge their brand new electric car every few miles.
Exactly.
They'd be pretty skeptical.
They would.
It's a tough sell.
Tricky situation,
It was.
to say the least. But then, Bordetella pertussis
Okay.
threw another curveball.
Oh, no.
One that nobody saw coming.
I have a feeling this is where the bacteria's cunning really comes into play.
Yes, this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Scientists started noticing that the bacterium itself,
Uh-huh.
it was evolving.
Okay.
It was changing in ways
Okay.
that allowed it to partially evade
Really?
the immune response
Right.
triggered by the vaccine.
Hold on. You're saying the bacteria was adapting to our attempts to control it.
It was.
That's both fascinating
It is.
and a little unsettling.
It is.
So even with a safer, more targeted vaccine,
Right.
we were still in a precarious position.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
Well,
Did they just give up?
of course not.
Okay.
Scientists dug deeper,
Oh, cool.
trying to understand how the bacterium was evolving and why the cellular vaccine's protection was waning so quickly.
It's like this never-ending game of chess
It is.
with scientists and bacteria
Yeah.
constantly trying to outmaneuver each other.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
But before we dive into the 21st century
Okay.
and the resurgence of pertussis,
Right.
there's one more crucial development from the late 20th century
Right.
that we need to explore.
All right, lay it on me.
While the cellular vaccine was gaining traction
Right.
in developed countries,
Right.
many low and middle income countries were struggling to keep up.
That's a sobering reminder
Yeah.
that scientific progress doesn't always reach everyone equally.
Unfortunately not.
So what were the barriers?
Cost was a major factor.
Okay.
The cellular vaccine was significantly more expensive
Right.
to produce and distribute
Okay.
than the older whole cell vaccine.
So countries with limited resources
Yeah.
were faced with this impossible choice.
It was.
Stick with the less expensive but potentially riskier whole cell vaccine,
Right.
or try to find the funds for the safer but pricier cellular option.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered so much ground already.
We have.
From the days when pertussis was this mysterious killer
Yeah.
to the development of two very different vaccines.
Two very different approaches.
It's incredible how this tiny bacterium
I know.
has managed to challenge us every step of the way.
It really has.
It's a testament to its resilience.
Oh, for sure.
The saga of pertussis is far from over.
It's not.
Stay with us as we explore its resurgence in the 21st century
We'll get into that.
and the ongoing battle to outsmart this microscopic foe.
It's a battle, all right.
All right, we're back, ready to unravel this final chapter in the pertussis saga.
The final chapter. Phew.
Last we left off,
Okay.
this cellular vaccine was making waves,
Right.
but questions lingered about waning immunity
Yeah.
and access in less resource parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then the 21st century threw us all for a loop.
Oh, did.
Pertussis stages a comeback,
Yeah.
even in places with high vaccination rates.
It was a real head scratcher.
It was.
We thought we had this disease on the ropes.
We-
But turns out we were in for a whole new fight.
So how did pertussis manage to pull off this resurgence?
Well,
Seems like it had a few tricks up its sleeve.
it did.
Right.
Remember how we talked about waning immunity?
Yeah.
Well, studies started showing that protection from the cellular vaccine, it dropped off even faster than initially thought.
So people who were vaccinated as kids
Right.
were becoming vulnerable again as teenagers and adults.
Unfortunately.
That creates a whole new set of challenges.
It does.
Right.
Yeah, and while their symptoms might be milder,
Right.
they could still spread pertussis,
Oh,
especially to infants too young to be fully vaccinated.
Oh, wow. So it's like a domino effect.
It is.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Even vaccinated people were unknowingly contributing to the spread.
Yeah.
But it gets even more complicated.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
It turns out
Yeah.
asymptomatic infections,
Okay.
they were more common than we realized.
So people were infected and spreading pertussis without ever showing symptoms.
It's crazy.
That makes traditional public health measures like isolation
Right.
basically impossible
It is.
if you don't even know you're sick.
Yeah.
It's like trying to contain a ghost.
A very contagious ghost.
Right.
And remember how Bordetella pertussis was evolving?
Yes.
Well, in the 21st century, that evolution it kicked into high gear.
So the bacteria was changing its tactics to dodge our immune systems.
Yep.
And the vaccine's meant to protect us.
It was.
Talk about a sneaky opponent.
It's a brilliant example of natural selection in action.
Wow.
Certain strains, those that had mutated in ways to evade the vaccine, they became more prevalent.
It's like the bacteria were studying our playbook.
I know, right?
And figuring out how to beat us at our own game.
It really is.
So what did scientists do?
Well, they realized they needed a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First, they doubled down on booster shots.
Okay.
Especially for adolescents and adults, knowing that immunity from the acellular vaccine faded relatively quickly.
So basically giving the immune system a refresher course
Exactly.
to keep its defenses sharp.
To keep it ready.
Right.
And they introduced this new strategy to protect the most vulnerable infants.
Okay.
Maternal vaccination.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
How does that work exactly?
Pregnant women are vaccinated with the Tdap vaccine, and it allows them to pass protective antibodies to their babies during pregnancy.
So it's like giving those newborns a shield of immunity before they're even born.
Before they even enter the world.
That's incredible.
It is.
It's like giving them a head start in the fight against pertussis.
Exactly.
But I imagine scientists weren't stopping there.
No, they weren't.
Right.
They were also working on improving the vaccines themselves.
So what were they working on?
They were exploring new frontiers, like live attenuated vaccines, which use a weakened version of the bacteria to trigger a stronger and longer-lasting immune response.
So it's like giving the immune system a practice run with a sparring partner that's tough but not dangerous.
Exactly.
Right.
They were also looking into ways to target the specific components of Bordetella pertussis that were evolving and evading the current vaccines.
So it's a constant race.
It is.
To stay one step ahead.
One step ahead.
It sounds exhausting.
It is.
This back and forth between science and nature.
It's a constant battle.
But there's one more piece to this puzzle, right?
There is.
We can't forget about the human factor.
The human factor is huge, despite all the scientific progress.
Right.
Vaccine hesitancy was on the rise.
Oh, right.
Fueled by misinformation and unfounded fears about safety.
It's a reminder that science alone can't solve every problem.
It can't.
Right.
Nope.
Public trust and accurate information are just as crucial.
Absolutely. Even small pockets of unvaccinated people, they can create these openings for outbreaks.
Oh, wow.
Putting entire communities at risk.
So what's the bottom line?
Well,
what have we learned from this century-long battle with pertussis?
I think the biggest takeaway is that in the world of microbes, there are no easy victories. It's a constant dance, adapting and innovating to stay ahead of these ever-evolving opponents.
It's also a powerful reminder that knowledge is our greatest weapon. Understanding how diseases work, how vaccines protect us, and how to critically evaluate information.
Right.
That's crucial for making informed decisions.
It is.
About our health and the health of our community.
Absolutely well said.
And it underscores the importance of clear communication between scientists, healthcare providers, and the public.
It's a team effort.
We all have a role to play.
We do.
In ensuring everyone has access to the knowledge and resources they need to make the best choices for themselves and their families.
For sure.
So the story of pertussis, it's more than just coughs and comebacks.
It's a story of resilience.
It's a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, and a reminder that the quest for knowledge and the fight for better health never truly ends.
It never ends.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of pertussis.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through a century of coughs, comebacks, and the never-ending pursuit of better health.